Are we alone in the universe? It has to be one of the most persistent and important questions out there. And in our quest to find the truth, many claim to have seen UFOs. But most of those claims are also easy to dismiss as something quite ordinary, rather than alien. But what about trained astronauts? What happens when the people that should know the most about space claim to see something not of this world? This is Unveiled, and today we're exploring 4 of the most extraordinary alleged UFOs seen by astronauts. Do you need the big questions answered? Are you constantly curious? Then why not subscribe to Unveiled for more clips like this one, and ring the bell for more thought-provoking content. In today's world, UFO sightings aren't exactly rare. Although they've fluctuated over time, they've generally grown more and more frequent in modern society. The problem is well known, though, that so many of these reports can't be considered reliable. For instance, it's said that people who want to see a UFO are more likely to mistake something that's actually explainable for one. And as many of us don't have extensive knowledge of aircraft or of what can and can't be in the sky, there's ample room for errors to be made, with common things like airplanes and even planets often being mistaken by passers-by for otherworldly objects. However, as we found out following the release of a much-anticipated UFO report by the US government in June 2021, there have been at least 144 sightings of UFOs filed by US military personnel since 2004. And so far, 143 of those are officially unexplained. The UFO story is about more than just urban legends and hearsay then, and there are notable instances from within the US Navy and Air Force especially. Potentially, the most reliable source that a UFO sighting could ever come from, though, is an astronaut. These talented few have extensive technical knowledge, advanced scientific degrees, and they've spent hundreds of hours piloting aircrafts, including literal spaceships. There's not much that they don't know about the skies above, and yet, some of them have claimed to have seen things even they can't explain. Vladimir Kovalyonok is a retired Soviet cosmonaut, a key figure in multiple space stations, and a one-time director of the Central Scientific Research Institute in Russia. In May of 1981, he was on board the Salyut 6, an early space station. During his mission, however, Kovalyonok reportedly noticed something strange out of a window on board and went to investigate. According to his account, what he saw next was an object unlike anything he'd ever seen in the sky before. 2 glowing orbs connected by a single line, later said to have resembled a barbell. The distinguished cosmonaut noted that the object was particularly strange because it had seemed to pulse, and it apparently had some sort of gas discharging from one end. Kovalyonok continued watching until he says something else extraordinary happened. Both of the orbs exploded. The 2 spheres that had been there were then replaced by clouds of smoke before fading away completely. The space journalist and historian Jim Oberg has since researched the sighting further, reportedly arriving at a seemingly more rational explanation for what might have been seen, that the barbell-like vision was really the result of a secret missile test. However, no missile tests were recorded on that day, and so, still no explanation has been found. Ivan Wagner is another Russian cosmonaut who saw something unexplained in space, but this time only after the fact. In 2020, he was on board the International Space Station and was attempting to take a time-lapse of the Aurora Australis, or Southern Lights, a phenomenon like the Northern Lights but in the Southern Hemisphere. Wagner succeeded in getting the footage, but when he went back to look over the pictures, he noticed something that he hadn't initially seen. he'd recorded 5 bright objects that appeared to be traveling in a line above Earth at exactly the same speed, capturing them on screen for about a minute before they suddenly vanished. In a tweet where he posted the video, he referred to the objects as space guests. He also notified Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, and reportedly received a reply that read, "An interesting and at the same time mysterious video." At the time, Wagner himself theorized that the strange shapes could have been meteors or satellites, although the suggestion that they might have been something altogether more alien has never gone away. It doesn't appear as though an official answer has been given for the sightings yet from Roscosmos, NASA, or anyone else. Whether or not the objects were actually alien in nature then is unknown. But Ivan Wagner certainly saw something strange that day while orbiting far above the planet Earth. Our third bizarre space sighting comes from yet another accomplished astronaut, James McDivitt, who flew on both the Gemini and Apollo missions for NASA in the 1960s and later became the Apollo spacecraft program manager. During the Gemini 4 mission in 1965, however, he reportedly noticed something unusual outside his vehicle while his partner, fellow astronaut Ed White, was asleep. A cylindrical object from a white pole that he later described as being shaped like a beer can with a smooth pencil sticking out of it. Upon recalling his experience during a NASA interview, McDivitt says he immediately grabbed a camera to take a photo of it, but was unable to focus the shot in time. He missed his chance as the spacecraft rotated around, and when he tried to maneuver the craft back to the same spot, he failed to find it again. It means that, unfortunately, in the pictures, nothing of the object can be seen, and due to the emptiness of the space around it, it wasn't possible for McDivitt to tell how big the object was either, without a frame of reference. It might have been tiny. It might have been massive. Official records were, of course, checked for what the strange and unexpected something could have been, but again, nothing came up. There apparently weren't any objects around the ship at the time on radar to match the description. So, what had James McDivitt really witnessed? Finally, there's the UFO claim put forward by another esteemed NASA astronaut, Gordon Cooper. Only this time, the unidentified object wasn't seen in space, but on Earth. Although Cooper was command pilot of Gemini 5 in 1965, his sighting occurred earlier in his career when he was working as an Air Force pilot in the 1950s. Again, according to his own accounts over the years since, Cooper claims to have noticed a few objects hovering around a base during an otherwise routine flight over Germany. And what reportedly made the appearance of them seem especially odd was that they were positioned as though in formation. It said that Cooper didn't think they were any kind of government aircraft, however, based on his own extensive knowledge of flying machines. Instead, they were round, metallic discs with no clear propulsion system. Their erratic movements were apparently difficult to track and impossible to follow. They accelerated extremely quickly in any direction. Cooper had been exceptionally well versed in all types of aircraft thanks to his military career, and he had reportedly been given a high clearance level in the Air Force, so it's thought unlikely that he would not have known about any kind of secret technology. So, what was going on? Importantly, there's a distinction to be made in all these cases between believing in UFOs and believing in aliens. And the list of people who claim to have actually seen aliens is much shorter than the list reporting a UFO experience. For those more inclined to skepticism where UFOs are concerned, most claims are likely missightings, where an ordinary object is mistakenly transformed into something extraordinary. But some reports are perhaps a little harder to refute, and testimony from people who have really been to space certainly demands attention. What's your verdict on the examples in this video? Can they be explained? Are they harmless or an indication of something more sinister? Whatever side you fall on, the debate is sure to rumble on, because those are 4 alleged UFOs seen by astronauts. What do you think? Is there anything we missed? Let us know in the comments. Check out these other clips from Unveiled, and make sure you subscribe and ring the bell for our latest content.